And we're live. There we go. Getting stuff set up. And this time, we're working right off of the bat. That's good. Hello and welcome to the stream. Make sure I get... Oh, that's making me sound that twice. There we go. Actually, I am going to save that video for later. That's good. We have actual music in the background too. Nice. Welcome to the stream. I am Aegis Wolf of the Resonite art team, and this is the art team office hours. Here to answer questions about, well, Resonite in general, the art team of Resonite, what we're working on, and, well, anything of the sorts. Right now we're chilling in a MMC winter world called Seraphim. Yeah. There is a few questions that were asked ahead of time that I'm going to be getting real quick. Let me just start up ShareX and take a screen cap of it. Come on. Okay, there we go. I was getting my VR set up earlier. I'm using the Vive Pro Eye headset, which has like face and eye tracking. I was utilizing the Babel software prior, but there are still some things that need to be worked on it. So I switched back to Serenipals. Now I have full eye and face tracking. There we go. Ooh, we have also a good question here too in chat. We will get to yours too, Easton, once we go through the ones that were in the Discord forum post. Yes. Each office hours has a Discord forum for each and every office hours, so that people can ask questions ahead of time, especially if they're not able to watch these videos live or streams live, which will become stream VODs and then videos on our YouTube channel. So, sometime after this stream ends, there will be another one posted as well. So, yeah. Yeah, that should be it. So, right now, main question here is about how does one change or update the cloud home that they have, and they're referring to the default cloud home that people have, and this is a good question too, and kind of shows the limitations that we have currently in regards of like setting up the cloud home and the design challenges that we have when working on it. So currently there isn't an easy way to update a cloud home other than simply like updating the content within it, but usually for having the same or the most up-to-date cloud home is usually within the spawned or published cloud home that's within your worlds browser if you want to find the latest version of it. But there isn't an easy way to just replace the assets if there is any changes, or mark what are changes and what isn't changes. And having the capability of doing that is something we want in the future. That's where things like prefabs, where if you update an asset, it updates it globally throughout the entire cloud. That'll be incredible when, like, say, you make small edit on like a mesh on a tree, for example, in a giant forest, you don't have to go through, use a tool to replace it all. It would just update it because it has that asset, and it would probably instantiate it as well too. But we don't have that yet. But if you want an easier way of updating your cloud home, I highly recommend in general too, is organize your hierarchy of your world. When you go to, say, like add stuff on top of the default cloud home, you can kind of put it in its own like little section under the world hierarchy. That way you can save it, take it with you, and then spawn it in the new version of the world. And then you have everything that you had prior into there. Another thing that would be really nice, and something that we would like to do when we're doing the tutorial update and the cloud home update, etc., that we're doing throughout the year, is being able to have a user be able to choose a default one at the start as well. This would be nice to have like some of the designs that we originally wanted to do, and some of the lighter designs for people with lower end systems that want to have like a lightweight from the get-go. So having that capability will be really nice. Because there's some designs that we had in mind for the cloud home originally that even had things like an elevator, a ramp, or stairs. And when it comes to verticality and VR, it tends to get awkward. When you're teleporting across a round, like circular ramp, that's kind of awkward. You teleport, rotate, teleport, rotate, teleport, rotate. So it's probably not good for like beginners friendly users, but having the ability to, do that would be really nice. And yeah, also another thing about verticality is vertigo, but yeah, that's why we kind of build a little bit of buffer room between like the walkways and then like the open sky. That's why there's plants and like those view barriers in the windows, which you can disable, and you can have like just a full-on window wall. But yeah, hopefully that helps. It's something that we want to like make it easier to update. There is a updater notification system within there where it tells you that there's a new version of the cloud home available that we update ourselves, and it propagates a cloud variable across all of your cloud homes, and it's only like after a certain version that was added, so anything before that it won't have it, unfortunately. But yeah, it's what we can do. It's like, for us, when we designed the thing, it's like us sending out a NASA space probe where we can't really update it. We can tell people to update their cloud home if they want. But yeah, can only do so much, because we don't want to replace people's assets within their own private worlds and all that. Because, like, if they edit the world in any shape or way, we don't want to, destroy that in any capacity. So, and that's not how it works either. Unless if it's like a prefab or so, but as said earlier, we don't have that yet. That seems to cover all the ones that I saw in the previous one. We have 2 questions here, one from Easton. And regarding the music, I believe some of the music is already available within the Resonite Essentials, and I can, actually, do I have, okay, I did make it so that I can take a picture of my inventory using my thing here. Assets, Resonite Assets, Music. Usually this would have pretty much everything, including some like sketches stuff that I never used. And this is where it's located. Those are like the subfolders there. Eventually, I think a good place to store, not only for the music, but for like things like models, textures, etc. I've seen GitHub being used as a potential place, and a couple other things, but I wonder if someday having it on the wiki would be pretty cool, or something like that. Just somewhere externally, not just in Resonite. Although if things are made easier to interface with Resonite in regards of like storing files and exporting them easily, because like you can just store raw files in Resonite without any worries, so it just takes a bit to export it. If there's like an easier like update down the line, maybe I might even just consider just Resonite being like the place to get it, because you can just be in desktop mode and get it, but it still would be good to have it externally too, if you're like on mobile or etc. I'm thinking about it. But I do want to make like all the stuff that we make available for people, whether it be the music, the models, etc. An official track order. You know, that'll depend on how we do it too. We're gonna make a new soundtracks as well for the upcoming tutorial stuff too. Like we're gonna be looking at keeping the same motifs we have, adding some new ones, experimenting with it. Like even with the intro music that I had to the stream here is like one of the experiments I had with like another track that I was doing. Just kind of refining it, making it sound cooler or something. I don't know. Messing around with FL Studio. Yeah. Having like those videos that you'd see that shows like the different track with a nice animated background on it. Yes. Honestly, having the controllers just behave. Having those YouTube videos of like all the different soundtracks, the names of it, and such would be really cool. Bandcamp. That might be a place too. Just thinking of ideas. Also, they wouldn't have metadata like the track name and Avant. Yeah, that's like setting up metadata. That takes time. I set up some of it on some of the tracks that I have, at least like author name and title. In FL Studio, gives you the ability to, in other DAWs or audio workspaces, give you that ability to add like metadata into the files you export, which is nice. We do have a question from computer user. Now this time it's regarding models and vertex colors. Let's see here. I got it right in front of me too. That's not... There we go. Is it possible for a model to have vertex colors but not have them visible and use a normal texture plus UV setup? I'm still working on the system to make my avatar explode, and one idea I had for was to make the model use vertex colors for the particles and then texture for the actual model visuals. I wonder... here's the thing. I wonder if the skin mesh render particle system, because within Resonite there's different particle system, or not. Well, particle system is like just the whole system of a particle effect. Then you got emitters. Emitters is what I was referring to. And those are the different shapes that emit the particles. You got like your primitive shapes like box, circle, square. I don't think there's a square one yet, but there is a line, box, cylinder, cone, sphere, circle, stuff like that. And then you have a mesh based one, which is like you put in a model not only you can make like mesh particles, which are each individual particle is a mesh that you can specify, but also the emitters can also be a particle or mesh as well. And say you have a brush, you can use the mesh that the brush draws as a emitter, and that's one of the things we're going to also add eventually too as examples. And the essentials will be those, but you can make those now. And another one is, of course, skin mesh renders, which is like, avatars or, things with either blend shapes or bones. That's what counts as skin meshes. But like, uh, I wonder if that reads, you know what? Where, oh, I'm sitting on my multi-tool, okay. It'd be funny if it ends up like flat 2D and I pick it up, shake it, and it becomes 3D again. Let's see here. I'm just gonna... Actually, you know what? I'll just see here. Let's just attach it to a box here. If so, that's what I'm already using. That's what is mesh. Avatar doesn't have vertex color data. Yeah, if it doesn't have vertex color data, you're gonna have to add it, but there's an option. I see. Hold on, let me look at the... When you can have vertex colors on a model that aren't visible in other cases. Like, the data's still there, but the material isn't using it, if you know what I mean. Say if you have a unlit material or a PBS vertex color material, those specifically use those. And for, by the way, for the PBS metallic or specular that use vertex colors, you can set what the vertex colors is being used for, whether it be your metallic or smoothness map, your because you can have like alpha as a value in vertex colors as well too. You can use it for emissive, you can use it for like detail color, I think, but albedo, of course, ambient occlusion, I believe, as well too. It's been a while since I've seen it, but yeah, I think that's what you mean in regards to the question. Yeah. But when dealing with vertex colors, it depends on the density of the mesh as well. I wonder if there's... Actually, you know what, before I even think about anything else here real quick, I want to check something here. If attach component, rendering, particle system, emitters, skin mesh emitter, let's take a look. Where did I lost my menu. Where my camera? Where did it go? Is it below me? I'm just gonna... Okay, that works. Oh, now it's smooth twice. There we go. Alrighty, I just wanted to see this for myself, too, because it's been a while since I've seen this. Okay, yeah, okay, it just says use vertex colors. Color textures, well, too. And that's one thing you can use to kind of average out the color. I'm guessing that wrap mode, repeat, clamp. Nice to have a mirror option as well too. And that's the skin mesh. Don't know what that does yet. Us being developers does not automatically mean we'll know everything, and that includes Frooks. Sometimes he forgets what he even puts in the game. But yeah. Yeah. Something I'll have to mess around with later. Color texture, but Avatar has 3 textures with submeshes, so that's not ideal. Yeah. I mean, eventually we'll have things like, well, independence from Unity and using whatever kind of candidate that is open source. At that point, we'll have things like custom shaders. So, and more access to stuff like that. Also, welcome to the stream, Griffin. Well, as I see a twitchy nose rabbit, which you do also have a question as well, too. This one is from twitchy nose rabbit. Can you be sure to let Frooks know that he can opt out of having GitHub use his account's code for training Copilot AI before April 24th? Yet another opt-out thing, I guess. Disappointing. Thanks, Microslop. And yes, I will. Actual knee is right there. There we go. Yeah, to kind of summarize, like, lately what the art team has been doing. Been going through, kind of, on a technical side, storyboarding how the tutorial is going to flow, as in, like, what kind of topics is going to be needed to be covered, as well as, like, recently, actually, just going through how the narrative side of things is going to go. Some things like, why is the user there? What is this place? What is Resonite? On a lore level, narrative level, world building level. All I'm going to say is echoing what Frooks says. And, yeah, everything is canon. Because it is a multiverse of infinite possibilities. The diverse set of, well, any kind of characters, worlds within it. And it's not necessarily tied to, is it a digital universe? Is it like a physical one? Is it a magical one? Is it this or that? And it's like, it's yes. That's all I'm going to say. And to kind of go more into like the technical kind of thing, starting the user off, one of the things we want to do first, and we kind of did previously a little bit, and that is like getting the user situated with like your, common things that people would want to use first, whether it be the type of locomotion, like how they move in the world, whether it be teleport or walk run, or things like if they're smooth turning, like I'm just spinning around like this, or if they're snap turning, where they just snap into different angle increments. We've been also keeping track of like what kind of things we want to do for accessibility as well too, like any GitHub issues that would, or ones to make of GitHub issues that would help with this experience and with Resonite's usability. Going from like, the initial stuff, you got like things like, walking around, jumping, if you're, in that kind of locomotion, things like grabbing, scaling yourself, scaling objects, grabbing and like deleting or duplicating things. Those are essential. Even if you're not a builder, you want to know how to, bring in like an image, like, like on stream, I brought out this image and I can scale it, move it around. People are going to have to know how to do that. Because say if somebody's wanting to share a video, they don't know how to scale it, they accidentally scale themselves or something else. Of course, things like the radio menu, actually I can get rid of that overlay real quick. Things like the radio menu here. Yeah, teaching them individually like how each of these buttons work. Of course, my avatar has like a custom menu thing, but gradually feeding them the information that they need in order to progress, just so that they can use the platform. And once they get to the point where they can choose what they want to learn, they can go to different places. Whether if they want to build, if they want to socialize, if they want to like set up their avatars, even for full body, if they want to like learn how to do that, they'll be able to learn that in a separate area. Or even how to build an avatar from the ground up too. Like going through the setup of how the flow is going to go, we were thinking about how to teach users how to build things as well. Like after, the normal stuff that people would learn. One thing that we had to like figure out is there's different things that you can learn how to build, whether it be regular objects, like breaking it down to the 3 different like categories. You got regular objects or props, you got avatars, and you got worlds. They have overlapping things. There's tools that you'd use to build any of those. There's skills and features that you use for any of those as well too. Things like colliders. Colliders is part of every single thing. Almost every single thing if it needs them. So say you have a segment about those. But yeah. Welcome to the stream, Baplar. Just chilling out with I don't think it's in view, but apparently there's a floating fish in the sky there. But, I can just do this. Oh, wrong button. I meant to do smooth POV. Yes. I didn't notice that my first time in this world. It's just there. Oh, come on. There we go. Fishy. You know what that means. Yeah, Seraphim is a really good world. They did a wonderful job. There's a lot of different worlds. I'm going to be like going through each of them over time, and even using more and more like the stream backgrounds. Actually, one thing I did remember as well too is I almost forgot to add it in our notes, but like having a section just to teach people how to use the camera itself too, because there's like technically 2 different cameras, and I'm not including the desktop one. You got like the streamer camera and then the one that you can spawn out in world that you can use to take pictures. Actually, technically there's 3, including this one. If it decides to load. There we go. Yeah, because you got that too as a third option. which you can also change the settings of it in the settings menu. Having that, even if, we're going to be replacing the UI of this menu or anything else in Resonite, we're also building the new tutorial in a modular way, because with the amount of stuff that Resonite goes through with updates or bug fixes and all that stuff, workarounds as well too, there's going to be updates to the tutorial over time. Whether it be additions, changes, removes, depends on what happens. But making it a way where it's just easy for us to update it is going to be so much nicer. And we're taking our time to make sure we get it right. That's another thing too. Same thing with going through, kind of polishing out the old universe experience, and I guess you could call it a remaster now at this point. Because, like, there's new content, updated visuals here and there. It's like we went through pretty much everything in that old world and changed up the textures and all that, and reflection pros, because it was still in a different color space even. So, yeah. I did get the SLS rocket as well. I don't know if I saved it in the inventory, but that was one thing I wanted to try to get, was the NASA Artemis program, like, rocket that they're using. Didn't know that the European Space Agency is also partnering with them too, till when I found out that. Which is neat. And I guess other than Resonite things, personally, I've been on a path of creating every single, or a 3D model, and having it functional in here, of every single Tron identity disc that exists in all the Tron games or movies from scratch. And I have one left, and that's the Tron Ares, like, funny triangle disc one. And then I'm wanting to make a Dawn-themed one for the Essentials as well. I made one out of procedural meshes to also use for the Essentials. Thinking of doing different effects with them. It's like a side project. Modified the projectile system I made prior to make it return to you when you throw it. Showcased it prior to this stream on the previous one. Where did I even put it? There we go. Here's the one made out of entirely procedural meshes and textures and particles. It's pretty neat. Wanted to challenge myself making something like that. I already have ideas how I'm gonna do the Dawn-themed one. A nice, like, rubber grip texture that we use for the tools, so I'm definitely gonna be using that for part of it. But also some kind of, like, energy blade. Of course, it's gonna be rainbow, like we usually do. With all these things. Actually, I might just make it color changeable, like I did with the other one, and I'll change the color of the crystals. That might be more of a thing for a personalized look. That way, if somebody wants to make a game out of them, and have, like, different colors for teams. That reminds me, I should revisit my old light cycle world. I made like an old model of one of the concept light bikes, and then made it work with like 90-degree snap turning and colliders procedurally made using the boxes as like the light ribbons. I even made it go up walls and ceilings as like a twist to the original mechanics as like another version of the world. It was interesting. So I'm gonna have to figure out how to do it for a 3D one. That's another project for another day. I've been still updating that projectile system yet again by making it only like having a single projectile system shared across an entire world and piping through, I guess, pseudo prefabs. And yes, Griffin Phyllis, I have all these ideas either written down or as in progress worlds that are just sitting somewhere in a project folder in Resonite. I don't tend to stick with like one personal project over time. I just kind of bounce around them. That way I don't get bored or burnt out on either of it. That's what I personally do. Like, there's some old things that I still have somewhere lying around where it's like a little remote control third-person helicopter game that I had. I still have it. It's just I haven't worked on it in like a year or two or something. But like, you know, sometimes I save it for like when new features come in and then it makes it easier to work on. But like I have like a groundwork to work off of then. One of the reasons why I'm also working on the projectile system that I was working on too. I'll be updating it in the essentials once I get it set up properly and clean up the flux after the spaghetti it is yet again in a state like that. Yeah, Rayuvi's been working on their own kind of like a combat or health system where it's like body part based, where you get like damaged in different segments of the body, like arms, legs, head, torso. So I found out how to make it compatible with that system, and how it works is very interesting. We don't have within Resonite we have what are called raycasts, and that's like a little laser that gets infinitely thin laser that gets shot out at whatever distance you want, and it basically hits something, and it can go through any object technically, but within Resonite you can, or normally within a game engine, you can get every single point it goes through a collider. Say like I don't know, you have like a bullet that goes through walls, you can get like each individual point where it hits a wall or something, or like you're using a painting tool and you can paint through objects. Something like that too is another example. We can't do that yet. We can only get like the first raycast that it hits. So there's a problem when here's the thing about avatars or characters as well. And this might be a good thing to think about if anybody's like working on like a game or so. There's a way to fix, two ways to really fix this. And the third way is probably ref hacking, which for future proofing I'd avoid. But all in all, here's the thing: when it comes to, say, making a game like a shooter game or like a game where you have health against players and you require raycasting on a player, you have the colliders within Resonite are based off of the bones, and it creates an automatic version of the collider based off of, like, the bone length and all that, and it's actually a pill-shaped collider, like a 3D pill. Imagine those on every single bone. That's what it does by default. But there's also a pill shape that is encompassing the origin of the user, and that is for actually not at the origin of the user, at the origin of like your avatar, and that is for the general collider for like colliding with the walls or floor, and that has raycast on, and that only appears also for like selecting people or whatnot from a distance. It kind of simplifies the colliders. It hides these complex colliders, and then I'm trying to remember, either that or it just has that collider be the only one that's visible. Either way, when you're far enough away, it only uses that simplified single large capsule shaped collider. Now, if you want like a weapon or tool that aims for a specific point of a avatar, you can't normally do that unless if you made an avatar that removes that collider or turns off that collider's raycast mode, or you just find the reference for it, reference number, and then like do it. But that's ref hacking to disable it. The third option, at least so far that I've seen that Ryuvi has done, is doing a proxy sort of setup. And what I mean is, you got, where you shoot the raycast. Let's just have like this little arrow here, raycast right here. You got the collider here, and then you got like the guy inside. And then, yeah, you don't want it to hit this, you want to hit their arm, for example. That's a problem. Now, what if you copy what's here, like 1,000 meters down or something, underneath the map or so? Well, there's no clip in this world, but I could just move this up here. Now, the neat part about this, you have, like, this is where, the thing you have it here. You have a identical raycast shot through at the same transform space. It's like in the same, origin point, but, offset however many, whatever meters, and then you have it shoot through, and you also create duplicates of the colliders. Say you, in order to activate this mode, the user has to like join a team or turn on the system, and it attaches those, or I think it virtual parents them, or it just copies the positions of like the general bones at your location, but in an offset. And if you have the same offset for the raycast, you can tell if it's going to hit something like, your arm or leg or whatnot, or if it's like another object. Say if there's a wall there or something, it'll first check this, or it'll first check this. Actually, I think it first checks this, and then if it's like the user, then it does this. That's what it was. Checks this if it hits a user or not, then it bothers, if it even bothers to do this. But yeah, it's pretty neat. And it works. I've seen this done, similar thinking done too, for moving vehicle and dealing with physics. I've seen like a YouTube video about someone making a Lego-inspired pirate game or something along the lines of that, and they had like an issue of keeping a player and all like, the stuff moving on a ship, and say the ship moves around and it's moving in the world. Now it kind of gets more expensive when, things are like a cannonball's rolling across the ground or something, and it might get offset, or the physics might not match a boat It's like moving up and down like that on a wave. And what they did is they made they literally called it a ghost ship, and it's like the same concept. An identical ship that only does all the physics stuff is somewhere off in the ether, in the ground somewhere, or in the sky, or somewhere in a hidden layer, and it does like all the calculations there instead of the actual visible ship that you have. But it is a pretty neat approach to problem solving. Because of that, because we don't have collections yet, which would allow us to have a collection, hence the name, of all the different Raycast hit points that you get from a Raycast or Raycaster. But you don't need Raycast to make a system like that, it seems. And that's a workaround. And it'll still work even when we have collections. It's a neat part about Resonite. Unless if you're doing something that you likely shouldn't, like rev hacking. But people experiment with that stuff. Experiment with it, and you learn about it, and you build systems. Sometimes you build prototypes with, like rev hacking or other, workarounds that likely would break in the future. People still use that to learn, and people should be able to use that stuff to learn. So, I recommend using, there's a whole wiki page full of like things not to do, or things to avoid, as it's called. If you're making something that you want to share to people, unless if you specifically say that it's something that's going to break in the future. But yeah. Collections. Well, it's in the name. If someone to answer Griffin Fillin's question, collections are, like I said, in the name. A collection of objects, a collection of names. Think of like systems that deal with a leaderboard, a deck of cards, a set of points on a line. Every single triangle in a mesh. Users in a world. Although there's also data feeds that'll help. There's workarounds for it too that you can use. Things like storing information in strings, which is like a piece of text, a string of text, or within slots. And slots are like the objects that you can have within here. You have a name of a slot, you have it's set theory. You got a set of like stuff. You can have a collection within a collection, and a collection of collections, and a collection of a collection of collections. That's set theory. A collection can contain itself. Brain hurty, isn't it? But it is useful, and you don't really have to. No, it isn't that really complicated. But it is like a really big thing when it comes to programming things in here. Something that we want to add eventually. It just depends on what the priority is next for what the engineering team is gonna do. Is like with MMC wrapping up now, we already have like the winners announced. I'm able to actually stream in one of these worlds finally, and actually talk about some of the stuff that I've like wanted to talk about. And yeah, Brooks doesn't have to worry about updating the platform directly when there's a context going on. That's why he was working on the Unity SDK, so it's kind of a win-win. People wanted the Unity SDK, or well, SDKs in general, and also a system that doesn't disrupt Resonite while this contest was going for about 2 months. Because not only you got the month where people are building it, you also got the month where people are judging it and going through, where the judges go through and learn about the different submissions, as well as each individual person has a vote that they can put on any of the worlds for any of the categories. Yes. And now, finally, that's over. I know Frix is still working on getting some of the pull requests that some of the other engineers have made features or fixes for, as well as fixes for and polishing the Unity SDK and systems related to it. But after that, we'll see. There's definitely a lot of contenders with what's going to be worked on next, but that doesn't mean, other things aren't going to be worked on. If we work on IK next, doesn't mean collections isn't going to be worked on at some point in the future. Vice versa, if we work on physics, doesn't mean, IK isn't going to be worked on, but it depends on what we do. What's the needs are, what's the community wants. We weigh all of that. And good representation that I recommend people to see, like, the map of all the stuff that we want to do. It's not, entirely accurate of, like, what we're going to do 100%. It's just, like, a map of a whole bunch of different things. It's not a roadmap, per se. It's a tech tree. And it's what Prime created. It has, like, a spider web of different things that are connected to different things, like features. Like, say, all the features that related to business stuff, all the features that related to UI, all the features that related to physics or optimizations and all that stuff, and like what leads to there. And it feels like playing a strategy game of looking like you're looking at a menu of a strategy game where, oh, this leads to there. You have to do an upgrade path. You upgrade to this, then you can either upgrade to two other things or do them both. Depends on what it is. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah. Hmm. Already thinking of ideas of how that drawing disc would look like, potentially. Also, if anybody has a question about Resonite or, the art team or in general, just ask away in the chat. Just make sure to put a question mark at the end. And it'll appear in this chat in front of me. Tagging system in the contacts. Oh yeah, being able to, like, kind of sort your contacts would be really nice. And actually, that goes to show why we name it contacts and not friends. Not everyone in your contacts is a friend. Not everyone in your friends is a contact. Or actually, I don't think that's... You know what I mean. Like, say you have a work group. You have colleagues. If you're a teacher, you have students or co-workers that, other teachers that work with you. It'll be good to have it like, kind of like your contacts on your phone. That's how it should be, and not like friends. Like, it's kind of weird when, like, you're on Facebook or something and you got, like, you friend a brand of, like, a drink or something. You're not technically friending it. It's like a contact or someone you follow or a topic you follow. Saying, like, Discord or Reddit, you follow a account or subreddit about, Legos or something, and then you have, like, some of the people there you follow there. Maybe you follow a creator. It'd be pretty cool to have, like, things like a bio, and all that in your contacts. It's one of the things I know Fruits wants to add eventually. That would be nice, especially for like, you know, finding groups. Say if you're in Resonite, for example, a group for like a game, say like Blood on the Clock Tower or Agra racing games. You're looking for a group. It'd be so nice to have like a groups, an extension to the group systems where you can also organize your context via that too. Yeah. Honestly, as soon as that happens, I'm gonna spend like an hour just organizing my contacts. I know that for sure. And that'll get me started on when we get the ability to organize the inventory better. I'm probably gonna be doing that as like a project in and of itself for organizing even our internal files of like projects and stuff. Simply adding notes. At that point, with how social media and like even Discord is doing with like making updates like breaks content. Can we just make our own Discord? Oh. I think that actually is something that he was talking about, was making, you know, eventually, if it's possible, likely so, to make like a, you know, a mobile app, companion app on your phone. That'd be really cool. I know people have made third-party ones. Those are pretty neat. Question from Griffin Phyllis. Heard you mention earlier making Tron discs from the movies. Did you end up finishing those cool retro style bikes you were making yet? Oh, the hover bikes. Yes. That is something I wanted to take a break from for a bit because I was trying to fix one particular bug. And one of the MMC entries has something that I'm looking for. And it's not really a bug, it's like a more of a, what is it called? Not a side effect, well, kind of. But it's what happens when you go below a certain frame rate. And with that vehicle, when you go down a certain frame rate, the suspension system starts to oscillate slowly and then rapidly to the point you just get launched into the sky or into the ground, depending on what it wants to do. And I just did a quick fix, as in I put a notification and a kill switch that automatically turns on only when the vehicle is simulating under a certain amount of frames, and it just has like an error mode that has like a little door opening sound or door open alarm sound like in a car that plays when you're at low frame rate. And I just set it as that for now until I find a fix. Which apparently the helicopters within, what was it, Warden's Crater, they use a simulation sub-stepping or something like that that helps with lower frame rate. At least it stops it from going insane. If I can adapt it to my system, I'll have to talk to Electrospy and Mars Mahate for that. But also, speaking of retro-styled bikes, I did make a model of a light cycle somewhere in my inventory. Actually, two of them. And I did watch the latest Tron movie as well. It has good parts, and knowing what it could have been, I wish it was what it could have been. Cool visuals, cool designs. Music, too, pretty good. Story had a lot of potential. I loved seeing it and still recommend people see it if they want to see it. Just go with the expectations. Yeah. I can understand why they couldn't do Daft Punk anymore because those two musicians broke up. But 9 Inch Nails is also pretty good. I should probably check where we are at with the time. Come on, Streamlabs. I didn't mean to open Discord. There we go. Oh, we're just over an hour. I'll give it a few more minutes. If anybody has any last minute questions, please put it in. As always, going through each week, I check the Discord first, so if anybody has questions that want to ask ahead of time for the next stream, so I can answer them ahead of time, and then once the VOD is up on Twitch and on YouTube, you'll be able to see it. And throughout the weeks, there are other moderation, or that is one of them, other office hours. Things like moderation office hours on Sundays, as well as Frux's office hours also on Sundays. Probable Prime does theirs on Tuesdays in Discord. There's the Purple Hour, which is also, I think, on... I gotta ask J4 when they do theirs, but it's every other week. You'll find all these things in the Discord events, as well as the events facet within the Resonite Essentials. And it's right there in the main folder, the Resonite Essentials. Also, the recent marketing office hours on every Monday, and usually the first Friday of every month we do a recap stream about what happened in each month as well, which also ends up being the business office hours nearing the end for answering any questions related to business. Yeah. Wednesdays we have our team. At the same time, 5 p.m. CST. Also, before we go, I'd like to thank our supporters, whether it be Patreon or otherwise. And within the Resonite Essentials, you can spawn out this board right here, and it shows every single higher tier supporter here, and it's a component that automatically updates these names. And there's more than meets the eye even here. These are the ones that we usually shout out on our recap streams and such. And every single one of you that's supporting the project helps get us where we are today and where we want to be in the future, to make it a best platform we can make for you. In a way, make a home for you. Home away from home. In a virtual environment here. They can do anything in here. Build whatever you want. Play whatever games. Talk to so many different people. I think that's what makes this thing more valuable than anything. Being able to not only be yourself, but also see others. And like share things with people. Oh no. I'm probably gonna get myself some dinner in probably in a bit. So I hope everybody has a good one. Morning, afternoon, evening, good night. Oh wait, that's the Truman Show ending. I'm still gonna be streaming. This isn't the final one. But yeah, have a good one. Bye-bye.